I took this normal Minecraft world and filled it up with lava. There is not a single block of air anywhere, not even in the nether or end dimensions, and I'm gonna try to beat it on hardcore. Will I succeed? Is this even possible? Well, let's find out. After loading in for the first time, I spawned inside the ground suffocating, so I had to quickly mine out some stone with my fist so that I could breathe. I saw that I was in a forest biome, which was perfect because it meant that there were trees at the surface, and trees meant wood, which meant tools, which meant a way out of here. So I mined some more stone and reached the dirt layer. The first piece I broke let down a stream of lava that I used as a temporary light source. After a couple of minutes, I found my first piece of wood, which wasn't actually a tree, but a jungle bush. I found a real tree a few moments later and carefully harvested its wood from underneath, making sure not to burn any of it. Now that I had wood, I could craft some torches and a pickaxe to start mining my way out of the forest. Where was I going? Well, while the entire world was filled with lava, the rivers and oceans were still the same. So if I could make my way to one, I'd be able to find lots of loot and resources from underwater caves, ocean ruins, and shipwrecks. And by day 2, I found a river. It was filled with salmon, so I caught and cooked some to restore my health and hunger. There were also some underwater caves around the place, so I took the opportunity to mine some coal and iron. I used doors to act as temporary air pockets so that I wouldn't drown. After following the river for a few minutes, I eventually reached the ocean, where I found a huge underwater cave system. I swam into it and mined more iron until I had enough to craft a full set of armor. I then searched the ocean some more and found some ruins, which contained a fishing rod. Now, it might seem useless, but this fishing rod will actually come in clutch later in the series. After a few more minutes, I finally ran into a shipwreck. I harvested some of its wood and found a buried treasure map in its loot chests. There was another set of ocean ruins nearby, so I quickly looted that too and got another treasure map. On my way to one of the treasures, I came across a ruined portal. This was a pleasant surprise because ruined portals spawn with gold blocks and loot chests, and I'd need as much gold as I could get my hands on to beat the game. So I carefully began mining out some of the netherrack in search of the chest. I eventually found it, and while there weren't any gold ingots, I did get a pair of golden leggings. I continued my journey to the first buried treasure where I found a bunch of precious resources. I did the same for the second one and found even more. I had so many valuables on me that I was all set to go to the nether. I just needed a few more things, so I crafted a diamond pickaxe and took a brief mining trip to gather redstone and lapis. I used the redstone to craft some pistons, and I think now's a good time to explain why. Basically, as soon as I enter the nether portal, it'll spit me out in one of 3 places. Out in the open, inside of a bunch of blocks, or somewhere in between. Ideally, we want one of the latter options, but in case I'm stranded out in the open, I'll need to have pistons so that I can place and push blocks away from the nether portal. Back to the gameplay, I crafted a bucket, filled it with lava from the surface, and emptied it on the ground to form a block of obsidian. I repeated this until I had a full nether portal frame. I lit it up with my flint and steel, jumped in, and hoped for the best. On the other side, things were not looking good. There was lava all around me, so I plugged it all up and disconnected the portal by quickly placing and picking up a block of lava. Now I had a bit of room to work with, so I placed some doors for protection and used the pistons to remove more of the lava. Slowly but surely, I was expanding this small room. I shook a little every time the surrounding lava ignited a part of the room, but things were going steady for the most part. However, I had no clue which way to go since I couldn't see through the lava. I thought about it for a while and then came up with an idea, and that's where the fishing rod from earlier comes in. By throwing the lure and watching the string drop, I can determine whether there are any blocks nearby. When I threw the lure in the direction I was going, the string kept dropping until the lure popped back in. This showed me that there weren't any blocks around me in that direction. So I tried another spot, and this time the string stopped falling rather quickly. That was good news, so I rearranged my pistons to create a tunnel in that direction. I eventually ran out of blocks though, so I had to return back to the overworld to get some more. 3 days after entering the nether for the first time, I finally hit ground. Cool, now what? Well, now it was time to mine out a large area so that piglins could spawn because they were the key to beating this challenge. You see, the only way to get Eyes of Ender for the end portal is by combining ender pearls with blaze powder. I can get the ender pearls by trading gold with the piglins, but the blaze powder would have to be obtained through a nether fortress. And I wasn't about to fishing rod my way through the nether trying to find one, so I needed to get fire resistance potions from the piglins too. That way I could swim out into the lava and see one for myself. But instead of that happening, something even crazier happened. While mining a tunnel, I randomly struck nether brick. This ended up saving me tons of time because who knows how long it would have taken to find a fortress by swimming through the nether. After clearing out the lava from a part of the structure, I got a skeleton spawn, which was a good sign because it meant that blazes could spawn too. And before long, one did, and it dropped a blaze rod. I started smelting some sand for glass and expanded the piglin spawning space since I wasn't really getting any to spawn. I also periodically checked back on the nether fortress, killing any blazes that spawned. Now I was getting tons of piglin spawns, and after dealing with the zombified ones, I barricaded one of the regular ones and threw it all the gold I had. Unfortunately, I didn't get any fire resistance or ender pearls, which meant that I needed to get a lot more gold. But in the meantime, I kept to farming blazes and killing hordes of zombified piglins for gold. The next day, I concluded that trying to obtain fire resistance potions from trading was going to be too slow, so I mined out an area for magma cubes to spawn in, but looking back at this now, it was just a waste of time because I didn't have any nether wart and I never ended up exploring the nether fortress to look for them. But hey, not all things go to plan. After grinding blazes for a while and getting 4 rods, I decided to start a mining trip, because if I wanted to get enough ender pearls through trading, I'd need a boatload of gold. So, on day 12, I found a nice big cave and started mining. I encountered a few drowned during my trip, but I learned my lesson about dealing with them from my last video, so they weren't any trouble. While searching for gold, I also came across lots of diamonds. So many, in fact, that by the end of the trip, I had 26. I also had a stack plus 25 gold, so I threw it in some furnaces to smelt. I also used some of the diamonds I mined with some obsidian and a book to craft an enchantment table. Then enchanted all of my armor with protection 1 and added sharpness 1 to my sword and efficiency 1 to my pickaxe. Back in the nether, I captured another piglin, threw batches of gold on him, and crossed my fingers. Soon enough, I got 2 pearl traits and a fire resistance potion. Not a bad start. I threw some more batches, getting 3 more pearls and another fire resistance potion. After my last batch, I got a 3rd pearl trade for 4 pearls, which left me at a total of 9 ender pearls. I nearly had enough. The fire resistance potions only had a 3-minute duration, so I went back to the overworld and extended their length to 8 minutes using a piece of redstone. I also had a couple of water breathing potions from the buried treasure I found earlier in the playthrough, so I extended those too. I drank one of the water breathing potions and swam off to look for a new cave. I still needed 1 or 2 more pearl trades, which meant that I need to gather some more gold. However, unlike my previous mining trip, which took place in a giant underwater cave, I wasn't finding anything more than a few small caves here and there with hardly any gold. So this trip took a little longer than I would have liked, and I only got 42 gold out of it. I did get a lot of diamonds though, so I crafted some new tools. Sadly, out of all that gold, the only good thing I got was a single potion of fire resistance. This meant that I need to go mining again, but I was all burned out from mining, so instead I focused on getting the rest of the blaze rods for the Eyes of Ender. After a long time of waiting and killing, I finally had enough blaze powder to move on to the next step, locating the Stronghold. To make this possible, I had to throw 2 Eyes of Ender and center my crosshair on them. I then wrote down a complex series of equations and used trigonometry to pinpoint the exact location. No, actually I just pasted in my coordinates and yaw value into an online calculator which did all the math for me. And looking at the world map, the Stronghold was all the way over here. Unfortunately, the first eye broke, so now I only had 8. Oh well, I knew I'd have to go mining to get more anyway. I wondered if I could swim across the ocean to get to the Stronghold, so I swam until I hit the edge of the ocean. But after all that swimming, I was still about 1,000 blocks away, so I had to think of another way to get there. And while swimming back, I thought of one. Nether travel. I converted the overworld coordinates of the Stronghold over to nether coordinates, which reduced the distance to a feasible 150 blocks. I then started mining a tunnel towards the spot. It wasn't easy because there was lava all over the place, but I eventually made it and threw up a portal. On the other side, I was greeted by an old friend, but this time I had fire resistance potions on me, so I tossed one and swam into the lava for the first time, and boy did the outside world look crazy. But time was limited, so I refocused on the portal and built a drop chute connecting the portal to the ground below. After that, I safely mined down until I hit lava. I still had about 5 minutes of fire resistance going, so I jumped in, disappointed to see no trace of any stronghold anywhere. I swam through the lava for a bit, hoping to see some stone bricks sticking out somewhere, but that never happened. I was worried that the coordinates I had were wrong, but I wasn't going to give up yet. I mined a tunnel north, found nothing, then mined a tunnel south, and took a sigh of relief when I saw stone bricks. Now that I had found the stronghold, I headed back over to the ocean to take what would hopefully be my last mining expedition. Now, given how much of the ocean I had already explored, I was having a really hard time finding a suitable cave, and after a day of searching, I said screw it and mined straight down. And luckily enough, I hit a decently sized cave where I obtained 25 pieces. I had 14 more left in one of my furnaces back by the portal, so I was hoping that'd add up to enough because I really didn't want to do any more mining. So after smelting everything, I threw my ingots down on 2 piglins and waited. Then, in came one trade, and then another. Yes! Oh my god. 6 pearls. Finally, I had everything I needed to get to the end and kill the dragon. I packed up my things, organized my inventory, and headed towards the stronghold. I drank a fire resistance potion and broke my way in. I moved very slowly through the lava and only had so much fire resistance, so I had to make calculated decisions on where to go so that I wouldn't run out of time. I followed the advice of a guy on YouTube named DKEN, which actually helped out a ton. Basically, what I did was swim around until I found staircases, going up each one I found. I didn't explore the depths of any of the side rooms and kept to the main hallways. And soon enough, I came across a long hallway, and at the end lay the portal room. That didn't take long at all. I placed the eyes into the frame and activated the portal. I double-checked my inventory to make sure I had everything I needed and jumped in. On the other side, I hit a major lag spike, drank my fire resistance potion, and started swimming up to the top of the dimension where the Ender Dragon was hanging around. I shot some end crystals with my bow while swimming up, but I didn't shoot all of them because the dragon wasn't even within their range, and I didn't have that many arrows to spare. After what felt like an eternity, I finally reached the top and started taking shots at the dragon, but it started shooting these magic fireballs that dealt way more damage than I was comfortable with, so I used my blocks to create a large platform around the portal. I also did this because I was worried that I'd run out of fire resistance at some point, so I needed a safe place to run to whenever the dragon purged. As the fight went on, it grew more and more likely that I wasn't going to win. I only had 38 arrows left and 1 potion of fire resistance, and the dragon was still at half health, and given my low supply of arrows, I had to take my time with shooting them, which only drained the amount of time I had left of fire resistance. Moments later, after running out of fire resistance from my active potion, the dragon perched, and then... Oh my god. Oh my god. I couldn't believe that I was still alive. Had I thrown that potion a fraction of a second later, I wouldn't have made it. With some newfound motivation, I continued the fight, landing blow after blow on the dragon, until finally... Yes! Oh my god. 6 arrows left. Oh my god. Alright.